Welcome into the PFF NFL Daily. Today discussing Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers, 4-1, those Chargers, Sam, and a commanding one-game lead in the AFC West. So let's talk a little bit of Herbert and our guy Mike Renner over at PFF.com, already trying to declare him the MVP favorite. So I know how much you love MVP discussion. So let's get into it. Justin Herbert, is he the MVP here through 5 weeks?
Yeah, Renner writing that article. Darius Butler, who shows up on the PFF live show pregame every Sunday, he had that take. He didn't want Renner to steal it. He wanted to make sure he had the credit, the proof, the receipts that Darius had it first on this Sunday show. Doesn't really matter. I think both of them are wrong. Justin Herbert is not the current favorite for MVP, at least not by the way we do it, right? There's two different conversations. Is Justin Herbert the most likely player to win MVP based off the fact that it's effectively, some form of popularity vote? Or would he be the one the PFF gives an MVP vote to? The second part of that is no, not right now. I think you've got a better case for Tom Brady. I think you got a better case for Kyler Murray, to be honest. But I think he does have a pretty good chance of the overall narrative swinging in Justin Herbert's direction. Look, he's been fantastic. He's got an incredible PFF grade, put himself into that 90 range, the Patrick Mahomes world, the Josh Allen world from a year ago. But there's a couple of areas where I think he differs significantly from those other guys. He is 17th in the NFL in big time throw rate right now. And that's the stuff you think of when you think Justin Herbert, those incredible plays that he makes, but he doesn't actually have that many of them. He's got 9 big-time throws this season. Derek Carr leads the NFL with 19, so more than double the number. Tom Brady has double the number and more than double the big-time throw rate. So while he's cut down on the mistakes and he still makes some spectacular throws here and there, that is way lower than the very best guys in the NFL right now.
The thing about the MVP race that I don't like is everybody responds to the last thing that they saw, and even though a guy like Brady, who you said was probably at the top, and he's our highest graded quarterback, which generally is the most valuable player in the NFL as long as the volume is there, certainly is with Brady. Brady had a quiet, really good game against the Dolphins, but it was a 1:00 game and it became a blowout. Herbert did it against the Browns. That was the last thing we saw, and we're also 2 weeks removed, and this is a factor from them beating the Chiefs. He went, at the time we said, look, he went head-to-head with Mahomes. He went head-to-head with the defending AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs, and they came out on top. So I think Herbert's definitely in the discussion. I think what you described is correct, right? There is this, what is the perception? And the perception in the public is, I think it's Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert probably getting the most love at the moment. And then you have someone like Josh Allen, who technically throw for throw or play for play shouldn't be in the discussion yet this year. But the most recent thing everybody saw was Sunday Night Football beat down against the Kansas City Chiefs, and it was like the Josh Allen for MVP show. So a lot of this is emotional and just the world we live in of the last thing we saw. But just to break down Herbert's game so far, though, he's had games like this last game where they drop back 48 times. He's dropped back over 40 times in every single game. We've seen MVPs. Lamar Jackson's a big part of the Ravens offense, but they only drop back 25, 30 times a lot of the time a couple years ago, even though he ran the ball a lot. I'm just saying there's a lot on Herbert's plate as a passer, and he's doing a really nice job so far leading that Chargers offense and leading them to that 4-1 record against good competition as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brady, throw for throw, has been the best quarterback in the NFL this season, but where I think Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert have good cases or really interesting cases for MVP beyond that is, so MVP, I think you have to start factoring in some of the highly volatile, non-predictive, unstable metrics that are descriptive. They might not predict future performance, but they're really good at telling you how guys have performed this year. So Justin Herbert does appear to have some ridiculous knack of being incredibly good at the unsustainable stuff, at the highly volatile, non-predictive, unstable metrics. Last year, he was the number 1 graded quarterback in the NFL under pressure, number 1 out of anybody as a rookie. This year, he's the number 1 graded quarterback in the NFL on 3rd and 4th down. So in those high leverage situations, Justin Herbert somehow seems to be able to pull out his best play year on year. And then this year, Kyler Murray is the number one graded quarterback under pressure. So both those guys have this ton of impressive, important, high leverage situation plays that Tom Brady doesn't necessarily have, even though he's probably got a higher baseline.
Yeah, I agree with that as far as it might not predict future performance, but you deserve credit for that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're trying to say who's most valuable this year, you describe what someone did. Don't forget, another week of the NFL also means another shot to win big at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet just $1 on any NFL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a point. That's right, the last 0-0 tie in the NFL was in 1943, so I'd say this one is a no-brainer. If Sportsbook isn't available yet in your state, DraftKings won't leave you empty-handed. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports Contests. DraftKings also is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code PFF. Throw down $1 on any NFL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a point. That's promo code PFF this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Let me give you one other point, because we've talked a lot about the Chargers offensive line this entire offseason, how they overhauled it and the whole deal. And as impressed as we have been with, say, Rashawn Slater, their first-round pick, overall, the pass blocking grade is still not good. They're still just 20th in the NFL because Storm Norton has struggled at right tackle. Corey Linsley hasn't been maybe as advertised up front at center. So of all the guys you mentioned, Brady has had pretty good pass protection. We know he's thrown to a good group of playmakers. I think Kyler has had excellent pass protection and the playmakers we've raved about on the PFF NFL podcast. But Herbert, he's got some good pass catchers too. But man, he's still doing it, as you mentioned, playing well under pressure, but also he's under heat, man, just like last year, even though they have shored up a couple of those offensive line spots.
Yeah, and they have changed the rate at which he's under pressure a lot. So overall, it's not like it's a perfect unit. Like you say, that it's being dragged down a lot by Storm Norton still, but they're doing a pretty good job of patching up that one weakness. You know, an offensive line is about how weak your weakest link in the chain is, and they have a really weak link at that right tackle spot, but you can patch up one weak link. They're sending out a sixth offensive lineman a ton of times and basically running almost with two right tackles. Now, both of them suck, so it's not like it's fixing it, but it is easier. Like, you can double team a guy and you can take away a lot of the damage that guy does. But last year, Justin Herbert was under pressure, 36.6% of his dropbacks.
That's high.
Yes, that's very high. This year, it's only 26.8. So they've moved that almost 10 full percentage points with all the upgrades they've got. Matt Filer, has been a fantastic addition this season, actually way better than I thought he would be inside. Rashawn Slater just went one-on-one with Myles Garrett for most of the game. And okay, he gave up a couple of sacks, but I think 4 pressures for an entire game, essentially going mano a mano with Myles Garrett. That's a pretty impressive performance. That line has done wonders in terms of shifting the weight of pressure that he's under, even if he is still under some heat.
So all that said, very impressed with Herbert. He didn't take a step back in year 2. He has continued to take a step forward. Love his arm and the love that he's not missing throws. He's just not making a lot of bad plays this year. So loving what Herbert's doing, loving what Kyler Murray's doing. If we're answering the question, though, Renner's question, Darius Butler's question, it's still Tom Brady. Don't overlook the fact that he has been the best throw-for-throw quarterback in the NFL this year. Dominated the Dallas Cowboys in week 1, which actually, looking back, it didn't feel impressive at the time. Right. That terrible Cowboys defense. Well, they've actually now got the number 4 coverage unit in the NFL, and they're turning the ball over like crazy. Brady actually played well in the loss against the Los Angeles Rams, and he's the only quarterback in the NFL who has not had a grade below 80 PFF grade. So his 93.4 PFF grade, head and shoulders above the rest of the NFL right now. So I think Brady's the MVP. Herbert's got a case. Kyler Murray has a case. I think Josh Allen will continue to progress and be there. But, if the vote was today, I think it's all Brady's.
Yeah, I think so too. But I do think that, we're 5 weeks into this NFL season and Herbert is playing right up there at that kind of level. It wouldn't take many bad games from Brady or Kyler Murray for Herbert to be the best guy there.
Absolutely. We know the MVP race. Just wait till next week. We'll just overreact to whatever we see in primetime, Sam. Don't worry about it. It's a PFF, NFL Daily.